Hello and welcome to Active Bryant Fitness Systems. Happy New Year, it's New Year's Eve. And this video is about Dr. Peter Acher. And the video is really all about longevity. Will you live longer if you're training, if you're looking after yourself, and if you're staying away from certain food groups? Now, a friend of mine phoned me yesterday, and his neighbour that looked after himself and he really liked was in a car crash and he died, aged 52. Now, this is the things that we have to remember, is that we're all mortal beings and that we can all die at any time. Now, there is a cardiac issue that people have that's never been tested. It's not tested on the NHS. You might get it tested privately. And a client of mine's husband had this defect in his heart. He never knew. And he was going for a jog round the park with his mate and he dropped down dead of a heart attack. But was a fit man, looked after himself. So, in my opinion, longevity is about you setting up your foundations on concrete and not sand. So if you're not a drinker, like drinking alcohol, and if you're exercising regularly, strength and conditioning, not like cardio bollocks that I don't believe in, neither did Charles Parlequin, strength coach to 250 athletes in 200 different sports. Charles Parlequin, the guy there, he passed away aged 50, I think he was 56 or 57, but had massive arms, was in great shape for his age group. So I believe longevity is about getting to bed on time, drinking your body weight in ounces of water, exercising no more than 4 times a week. But if you're walking and doing other stuff, that could be included as exercise. But if it's not tiring you out or trashing you, it should be fine to add as an extra day off. So you could be training twice a week, then you're walking everywhere. That could add up to 4 times a week because you're walking more than 20 miles a week. Does that make sense? So I know he's trying to promote his book and he's trying to sell his book in which to make money, obviously. And obviously he's a doctor as well, so that gives him credibility because he's to be a doctor takes 6 years and they do a degree, sort of like a master's degree to become a doctor. But like Charles Parlequin said in many of his videos, just because you're a doctor or a scientist doesn't mean you're a good doctor or scientist. Does that make sense? So I had a client of mine went to see a physio, gave me the exercise program. So I added some of the exercises from the program that the physio had given him. And you know what? They didn't work. And that's because a lot of physios will study at university, think they know everything, like personal trainers, do one course, think they know everything, and then they missed things out. Like I had a client that went to see a physio, and the physio was giving him 27 exercises per session. So I assessed the client and found out they had a weak glute muscle, glute med, which is the muscle on top of, if you look at your bum, the muscle nearest the top of where your hip is, was weak. So that means when the physio was giving him the cycling program to warm up on, within 5 or 6 minutes, that muscle got weak, so the knee was going over too far, which was then contributing to his knee pain. So I reduced his exercises to 5 and got rid of the cycling straight away. Within a week, his knee pain had completely gone. So this is the only thing that annoys me about physios, chiropractors, osteopaths, not all of them. If they've got a good training background themselves, then their knowledge will be more superior. But if they're not coming from a training background, but Dr. Acher is coming from a training background, but he said he was injured and in pain all the time, and then he said in another video that flexibility and stability was never looked at. Now, since I studied with the Czech Institute, started in 2003 and then become a master 2013, that it's so important to look at flexibility and stability as we age as well. So most people, when they hit 50, 60 or even 40 onwards, exercise less, spend more time watching TV, don't go out for walks in the park, won't lift stuff because they're worried about the back, and just become a fat couch potato. But from what I've learned, being aged 52, 53 in February, that the more I lift less than 4 times a week or just 4 times a week, the more younger I feel. Does that make sense? And if I was to have a flu or a cold or felt under the weather and I don't exercise for more than 5 days, I feel like crap. So imagine your auntie, your uncle, your granddad, your grandma, they're feeling like that every day because they've got to a certain age and they've just given up. But this is where hormones come into it, that longevity for a man to testosterone is really important. For a woman, estrogen is really important. So when an estrogen level is high in a woman, they live longer than a man. But my dad's, bless him, is 83 and still going. So it shows that there's exceptions to the rule, that not always men die earlier than women. And this is the other thing about science and the crap that they put out there, is that sometimes it's completely wrong. Does that make sense? Like, statin drugs are damaging to the liver, the kidneys, and they only improve you by 1%. So why would you take a drug that's going to inflame the body and give you aches and pains for 1% benefit? Fuck off, shove it up your ass. You know what I mean? But longevity is really important, that you keep your grip strength. So I get my clients to farmer walk. So that's getting heavy dumbbells or kettlebells, in your hands, walking up and down the gym. So that's increasing grip strength. And they said that as soon as your grip strength goes, that's when you know you're going to be popping off soon. And then they've found with Charles Poliquin, Paul Chek, Anthony Robbins or Tony Robbins, Dr. McCullough, have all found that the more muscle mass you gain, the easier it is for your body to fight disease. The more muscle mass you gain. So really, everybody over the age of 40 should be muscle Marys like me. Don't laugh. 50 press-ups, off you go. So really important that you've got to maintain your muscle mass. And the only way to do that is by keeping strong. Now, they're saying 1.8 grams of protein per body weight. Now, I agree and disagree with that. What I learned through the Czech Institute is that your body can only digest so much protein. And we all have a genetic makeup, so we all need different amounts. But the way I look at it, if you're, after your training session with me, say, and you're sore for 3 days or 2 days, then maybe your tissue doesn't recover as fast as mine. So you need to take BCAAs and you need to take a protein supplement, or you just up your meat intake. Plants have got protein in, but very low amounts. And most vegans and vegetarians that I've found so far have all got some sort of pain in their body. And that's because their ligaments, tendons and the muscle is made up of protein. So if you reduce the amount of protein you're putting inside your body and you're training hard, your body can't repair in the same way. Does that make sense? So a lot of people will go, I'm a vegan or vegetarian because of religious reasons. Well, kill your God. You know what I mean? Because you're killing yourself. Your animals are there for us to eat, not to be looked at. Does that make sense? And if you look at indigenous populations from the 1800s onwards, you look at the American Red Indian high amounts of meat, high amounts of vegetables as well, had classic, really good bodies right until their 80s. So I believe that it's for longevity, train 4 days a week, train smart, get a program designed for yourself every 4 to 6 weeks to make sure that you keep improving and keep getting the body adapting. Because as you age from 40 onwards, you're in a decline. So to slow down the decline, you're still going to decline. To slow it down, do the strength and conditioning. Do coconut pulling to keep your teeth healthy. Make sure you lift heavy with good form and good technique, not shocking form and shocking technique. Does that make sense? Now, I'm probably lifting more because of my knowledge level has changed than what I ever did when I was 20. And that's why I've got a bit bigger. Does that make sense? Because I now understand program design. I now understand my body at a much deeper level. And this is what you'll find if you get into strength and conditioning. Now, I had a debate with somebody about VO2 max training and HIIT training. Now, if HIIT training and VO2 max training was all that you needed to do, the gyms would only have spin bikes and running machines. They know it's only one element of it. And listening to the doctor, he was saying that he does cardio 4 times a week. Then he said he does strength and conditioning 4 times a week. Then he said he'd done 24 sets in his exercise program when he's weightlifting or training. And then he said he'd do 3 to 8 minutes of cardio training for a 20-minute period in which to get his VO2 max up. So that means he's massively overtraining, in my opinion, especially for adrenal gland health. The adrenals push out all the major hormones into the body, so as soon as they're tired, you're tired. Does that make sense? So Charles Parlequin, strength coach to 240 athletes in 200 different sports or whatever, he didn't believe in any of that cardio stuff. He believed that when you strength train, you get the cardio crossover when you're doing that. So the next time you're doing a high pull, or you're doing a deadlift, or you're doing a farmer's walk, put a heart rate monitor on and see where your heart stays at the same level as aerobic or anaerobic, depending on how fast you're moving. So I've worked with people that have had, what do they call it? A double heart bypass. And in that, said, wear your heart rate monitor, see what we're doing, see if you stay at the same level. And every time he looked, yeah, it's at the same level. Yeah, that's good, Scott. Yeah, that's down at the same level. Everything I gave him. Because of when you get the reps, sets, loads and tempos right, you can keep the heart rate at a certain level. When I'm training in my set, say I'm doing 25 reps, the anaerobic ability I'm getting into that is huge. Then I get the lactate build up, which is even huger, and my heart is going 101. Does that make sense? So I've been doing 8, 12, 25, which is Charles's volume training method, as well as a fat cutting method. And it's phenomenal. And it's really hard. And anaerobic training is really hard, the VO2 max training. You've got to be able to do it like he was doing it from 3 to 8 minutes. 8 minutes. I don't know any one of my clients in the 30 or 25 years that I've been working clients out could do that unless they was a triathlete, or they was a sprinter, or they was a long distance runner, or they was some sort of cardio person that didn't do no strength and conditioning. Does that make sense? So longevity, get in the gym, train, or train at home. Train no more than 4 times a week. I found in 25 years, over 4 times a week, the client gets injured and other things happen. If they do 4 times a week or 3 times a week, that's optimum for most people to get longevity. But remember, you could die of an instant heart attack like my client's husband did, or you can have a defect in your body that no one's detected, like the heart, or you can have a motorbike accident or a car accident that kills you stone dead. So by exercising and looking at your diet and keeping fit and healthy, this will definitely prolong your life. For exercise wise, only 5 exercises you need to do, no more than that. Flexibility wise, you only stretch what's tight. And really in the gym, you only want to do the patterns that you're weak at. And then once you've got strong in the patterns that you're weak at, then you start adapting it to make it so you're stronger. Let's say you're weak in your pull pattern. So we're doing deadlifts and you can only do 40 kilo. I want to get you doing your body weight. So if you weigh 100 kilos, you should be deadlifting 100 kilos. The same with the squat. But you can't curl 100 kilos because the muscle is much smaller. This is where it can get a bit confusing. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the longevity video. And please comment down below and tell me what you think. Thank you. Bye-bye.